Hello, Magnus here, and welcome to the Shenmue 1 and 2 HD Release live review and gameplay. So, this is very special. I've been promoting this for ages, and let me make sure I've got the volume turned down where I need it to be. I've been promoting this for ages, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about Shenmue before the launch. Now, it's just a few minutes away, so I'm going to try to squeeze in as much as I can. And though I've got a PS4 screen playing, I'm using that just for the countdown, but I'm actually going to launch this Steam. I can't launch it, and I couldn't even actually set it up with my stream player until basically pretty much when it launches. When it launches, I could set it up with my HD screen and then kind of go from there. But until then, I'm just gonna talk through the next 9 minutes with a couple of things. Now, first thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that today was there was an actual Shenmue 3 update. So I wanted to kind of walk you through that and tell you what that was. So basically, there was a Shenmue 3 Kickstarter update, and let me see if I can pull that up for you right here. So where is it? Okay, so this what's the latest and greatest with Shenmue. So I believe this update's going to contain just a couple of comments, probably from Yu Suzuki, as you saw him. This is what it's going to be. So that is something that you have to look forward to in basically tomorrow morning when Gamescom takes place. So going on from there, uh, another thing I wanted to touch upon is a bit of my personal history with Shenmue. Now, I may seem a little bit nervous, but you got to understand that today is a big day. Now, I'm paying attention to see if there are any comments. Let me hit up my screen over here so that I can make sure that if anyone posts a comment or has something to say, I'm going to respond accordingly. But anyway, Shenmue has a long history with me. I bought the original Shenmue games when they were released to Dreamcast way back in 2000 and 2001. Now, I picked up the Shenmue for Dreamcast in 2000 when it was released. And when that came out, it was pretty exciting because there had been a lot of emphasis. But there is one fact that I wanted to bring up that is not talked about quite honestly a lot, is one of the main characters in the Shenmue series is a character known as Shenhua. Now she comes out in the main video or the introductory video of Shenmue and Shenmue 2. But one thing that's hardly mentioned, and one thing that I never understood, is that if you look, now this is probably going to be out of focus, so let me focus this. Let me move the camera a little bit. Focus this where it needs to be. Her name was Ling Shahua, not Shenhua, which is a little bit like they made that change, and it was like, why'd they make that change? They didn't have to do that. Trying to refocus on my face here. So that change from Shahua to Shenhua didn't really make much sense to me, and I've never seen a place kind of explain it. Let me fix myself. Sorry. So that was interesting. Now this original book is it's kind of interesting because they called open world at the time full reactive eyes entertainment. Now that was basically a representation of what open world was, and Shenmue really was, in my opinion, though it's debatable because some first person action adventures were considered open world, but this in my opinion was a real concept of open world taking place and taking merit. It's funny, when I got this original Shenmue disc, they had these play to win sweepstakes from Dreamcast, which was kind of awesome. I always kept that in the original box. And the other interesting thing that this remakes will probably won't have, or definitely won't have, is the Shenmue Passport. Shenmue Passport was a lot of online features that you have where actually you can get advice from Nozomi in a lot of, like, if you're stuck in the game, you could get advice from Nozomi, which is a character in the first Shenmue, to kind of take you out of tight spots, especially if you're stuck in the game. But we're less than 4 minutes away from the launch, and I'm trying to get through everything I wanted to talk to you guys about before I start this launch. Then Shenmue 2 on the PAL version, which is what I got. I bought this game from a local store that knew that there were a lot of friends that wanted Shenmue and couldn't get it because it was only PAL release. So a nice store, video game store that I had that was not a GameStop, but it was like a privately owned store, was good to import a lot of Japanese or European imports that we wouldn't get. So when Shenmue came in, I got it day one. So the difference is that the PAL version had several books in several languages in the actual books that translated in so many different languages. But you did have an English translation and a nice little recap of the Shenmue 1 story before continuing on to Shenmue in this little book, which was awesome. Included with the PAL version of Shenmue. So moving on from there, as we've got almost a 2-minute warning, and I'm trying to put this together as much as possible. So, okay. The Xbox version of Shenmue 2, which included some improved graphics, also included a full recap of Shenmue 2, but it was not in color. It's the only in color version of the manual, at least that I own, was the original release for the North American version. But that was it. I mean, I was such a fan back in 2000 and 2001 that I could not wait for Xbox to get the import. I wanted to get it myself, so I got the PAL version, and this was before the days of being able to pick it up on Amazon and knowing that what you wanted would be there. So I had to make sure that I could find a store that would even have it. And because the game was semi-popular back then, they were pretty confident it would sell well. Now, we're almost within a minute of the actual release. Now, I'm going to launch the Steam version, and on the Steam version, I haven't linked it to this player yet, so I'm going to pretty much kind of screw around to try to get to fit in the screen before I show it to you guys. So it's going to take me a brief moment as I talk you through it, but we're within almost a minute of it getting launched. So I am super excited. I've got my controller in hand. I'm going to play it on Steam, not PS4. I bought it for both PS4 and for Steam because I wanted to be able to play both versions and compare both versions. But since there have a lot of pre-release PS4 versions that people have tried and played through, I wanted to see if there's any differentiating options in Steam. I doubt it, but if there are any additional graphic enhancements, we'd go through that. And I didn't get an early release copy, so I gotta wait another less than 30 seconds along with you guys. But if you guys don't want to stay tuned to the stream because you want to watch it yourselves, then go right ahead, play it yourselves. I'm definitely jumping in less than 15 seconds. And if you have joined, thank you for joining. And 5 minutes until it's time to get ready again. That's right, Johnny. I can't wait. It's gonna be exciting. So 1 second and we're ready to go. It's ready to use. Cannot use the content. The content has not reached the start date. That's funny. It doesn't matter. I'm going to turn off the PlayStation because I'm going to use it on Steam. So I'm going to launch my Steam version as we speak right now. And give it a second. Of course, we'd have issues as expected. Steam is saying, it's not ready yet. It's not launched yet. So I'm logging in and logging out. So sad, but I kind of couldn't test it unless it pretty much came out. So, okay, viewing my library. There's Shenmue again. It's not, will be unlocked, available to play upon official release day. You know what? I cannot wait. We're going to do it PS4 style. So on the PS4, I'm going to launch it because I can't hold on. I can't wait anymore. So here we go. Shenmue HD. Sorry guys, I wanted the Steam version. I'm going to try the PS4 version out at first, and then we're going to go with the Steam version as well. So this is my first time experiencing this, as well as for you guys, I'm sure. So let's check it out. The menu looks nice. And let me pull it on my side thing here so I can actually see it big as well. So, alright, so here we go. Pretty simple HD menu. Now I've seen this before. Now swap look and run. Swap look and run is, I'll just leave that alone. Invert access area jump. Enable area jumping when exiting the Hazuki residence. I'll keep that as on. And what else are my options? Audio language, English. I'm actually going to go with Japanese, and I'll tell you why. I've seen or heard the Japanese voiceovers, and I actually enjoyed Japanese voiceovers, but never really got to experience the whole game with it because I had the US version, which was all in English. So I appreciate those voiceovers. Of course, they're classic, looking for sailors and all that, but it's still pretty good. So dialogue, game mode, text language, English, because they're going to speak in Japanese. And I don't think any of that has to be adjusted. Do you wish to save your changes? Yes. And now let's go to graphics. High res rendering on. Bloom. Let's turn bloom off. And you also have the choice to play with the original Dreamcast 480p graphics. Yes, we do have the choice to play with the 480p graphics, but I'm going to stick to 16:9 just so that I can see the difference, because I'm curious. So what do we have here? U display area 100%. That's fine. Okay, yes. Save the changes. Exit out. Now let's start. Well, let me hit continue, see if I've got a whole mess of save slots. Now, the original Dreamcast version had 3 save slots, and it was pretty limited in that extent. But it looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 save slots. Hugely convenient if you want to save at those particular moments that matter. But anyway, without further delay, let's start. By the way, while you guys, while this intro plays, I'm trying to reload the game on Steam because I'm really curious as to how Steam would have it. Oh, this looks good. 4x3 still though.
Ryu-san, I'm alright, but Hazuki-sensei...
My father?
The black car, yes. The day one patch, good question, Alan Wake. The day one patch, I didn't have any patch install before I started the game. So I'm not sure if it installed already or if it just didn't install, but we'll see. I noticed with some gameplay in previous videos that I've seen online of people already playing this game on their PS4 that there was some glitches around Rio's eyes where it was like black spots. Now pay attention to Rio's eyes, especially when it does close-ups. If you see kind of black spots near like these corners of the eye, then I think that maybe it might not be patched. That kind of irritated me with some online videos that I saw of this. But anyway, let's continue with the drama. I always love those moves in this game.
Father! Why you... Now then. No matter how often you ask, I'll never tell.
It's funny, it's in English even though I put it in Japanese. I must not have clicked the right button. But it's okay. It's still much appreciated.
No, don't! Hand over the mirror. Or else, your son. Wait! The mirror, it's buried under the cherry tree.
The English is good, Alan. It's definitely not bad. It's memorable. It's just me preferably wanting to experience the Japanese version, but the English version is classic. I mean, everybody remembers the comments on sailors and him looking for sailors or their awkward way of speaking to each other. But it's good in both ways. It's definitely memorable. And I love these lines, the way that they're delivered. These lines that are about to come up when Landi speaks to Iwao Hazuki right after he has the mirror and he's about to murder him. Or did I miss that? I must have missed it. Yeah, where he says, I'm sorry, I must have like not been paying attention because I'm looking at the screen, but when he says, do we remember Chao Sun? That's the name of the man who killed him in swoon. Delivered with such emphasis. But also, right here what you're about to see with these two interacting. Keep friends.
Forgive me for leaving you alone.
What are you saying? Father!
Your friends. Keep friends. Those you love close to you.
No. Father! No!
You know, Alan, you said that you liked Today is Real's birthday in the game, really? Johnny? I didn't realize that, but that's pretty interesting. Alan, when you said you liked Shenhua's voice in part 2, that is a voice that I particularly did not like. I preferred the Japanese voiceover over the English voiceovers. But to each his own. It's still memorable.
A letter for Hazuki-sensei.
It's messed up that his birthday is the day that Landi arrives. Now the fact that these scenes played in 4:3 rather than 16:9, I know that they were intentionally designed to be in 4:3 in the original Dreamcast release. I do wish that they were in 16:9. I'm one that prefers widescreen format, but it's fine that they left the original Shenmue. Now, I have obviously not tried the Shenmue 2 re-release yet. We'll try that in a moment after we play some of Shenmue, but the HD re-release of Shenmue 2, or at least the original Shenmue 2, had somewhat of a 16:9 format in most of their cutscenes. They just put black bars in the top and the bottom, and then had the subtitles near the bottom. So I don't see why they can't, or they wouldn't be able to do that. Now this is nice. They have text, and they had updated the text to actually look at least better resolution or more detail, which they didn't have to do, but they definitely did. I guess they wanted to make sure that if you're looking at the notebook like this, it's going to give you the details and the handwriting in really good script. So I like that. So okay, so let's start the game, and here we go. Glorious 16:9. Now, I have played this game in 16:9 format based off of emulators, and emulators have had the right and the left side of the screen kind of imperfect, especially when you're going through cutscenes or specific scenes. But it's nice to finally get an authentic Shenmue update. Now, one of the amazing things about this game is the fact that you can pretty much grab anything. Now that's different. You saw how he grabbed the tape in the or turned on and off the light. Maybe that's what I did, but I flipped out there because I thought he grabbed the tape like that. But even when he flicked the light, I remember it not showing him. It just shows him just hit the switch and you just see his hand. So now I'm gonna grab this tape, which is a Shenmue tape. Then there's a Shahua tape. Now this, in the original Shenmue, like I mentioned before, Shenhua was called Shahua, and one of her tapes was in these drawers. Now here's a tape player that you can find, and yeah, there's no more Timex, Johnny. That's no longer relevant. So let me grab the cassette player, and it's just a classic time, and that's fine. I understand that they couldn't keep the licensing, but let's move down now. I'm using the controls. The controls are very similar to the way the Dreamcast was laid out. Now I'm gonna grab this tape right here, and it'll probably be called Shenhua. Yes, it's called Shenhua. But if you played the original Dreamcast version, it was called Shahua, or her name was Shahua, which is a nice little tidbit of information that you like to know. Now, the way that they designed this original game is that the creators wanted you to search through everything in his room. Say you could see shirts and everything, but they specifically, Yu Suzuki's vision was like, this open world game, you can do anything, touch anything you want. So a player playing around with his bedroom at first is like, wow, this is really expansive. And he designed it so, okay, you're going to get lost in just his bedroom before you even walk out. Now let's walk out of the bedroom. Here's a cutscene 4x3 style as expected.
Ryo-san, you should still be resting.
I'm fine, really. And you? Are you alright?
Yes, but I must keep busy, otherwise I'll get depressed.
I understand. But you needn't work too hard.
Yes.
Now here's a little trickery.
By the
She's
way,
handing you an
I
envelope.
have this for you.
So at first you think that's the envelope
for
that she got in the
today.
mail. But it's not. It's just
From
your
tomorrow,
allowance.
I'll leave it on top of the shoe cabinet.
So then that
every
gets you
day.
to think, alright,
You know
what
what
is the
Fukusan is?
deal? Why did you give me
Fukahara-san,
allowance, but you're
I
not
believe
telling
he's
me
in the
about the letter
dojo.
that you received?
Really?
So even there, she's trying to protect Rio. Now, as a player, being back in 2000, the first time playing this, you're already like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for a huge experience of this game. Like, what can I do? And it's interesting because you can pretty much search through the house and see what else you can immerse yourself in. And this was way before the days of Grand Theft Auto. Actually, not that much before the days, but Grand Theft Auto 3, which came out, didn't have this level of detail. And look, I just pulled out my Sega Saturn, which you can pretty much win a game from the Sega Saturn later on in the game from the convenience store. But if I pull up the book, I've got phone numbers written in the first few pages. So I've got pretty much 911 or 110 of what they've got in this game. And then you've got Nozomi's number, you've got the dojo's number, you've got a couple of friends' phone numbers. So you've got pretty much different contexts. So if I try to call the police, I can call them using a phone, and it was actually a working phone. So back in the 80s, which is when this game was based off of, you can dial for help. So I'm gonna dial the cops and be like, where the hell were you when my dad died? What the hell? And let's see what response
I'll
I get.
avenge my father's murder on my own.
Nope. No response. Got my first trophy. But honestly, wouldn't you call the cops if your dad just got murdered and a bunch of people just committed robbery in your house? Come on. What's up with that? Should I have called Nozomi and hung up on her? Probably. This is, again, the details and the textures that you see in the trees, they weren't updated because this is a port. It's not a remake. So keep that in mind. But let's go and visit a good old buddy here who got his butt kicked and couldn't help us out. And yes, the cops should be
Is everything
investigating
okay?
the murder,
Don't
but
worry, I'm fine.
they seem to be
I wanna ask you
worthless
about
in
that man.
Yokosuka.
Oh, that man.
Oh, that man. I
The man
love his
called
delivery of
Landy.
that line.
What did he talk with my father about? Landy demanded the mirror, and then they threw me out of the dojo. The black suits, catch the names? I don't know. They came out of nowhere. I see. Thanks, Fukusan.
Thanks, Fukusan.
If you remember anything at all, be sure to tell me.
And then this is where he's like, what?
Why? What you gonna do?
4x3.
Where are you going? You're not going after them. Please don't. Look what they did to Hazuki-sensei. They killed my father, right in front of me. I will have my revenge.
Yeah, these games are expensive to
do
get.
this.
Whoops.
For my father.
Like, I have had 1 and 2 and Shenmue since they originally came out. thankfully. But it's funny, when Shenmue 3 was announced, I saw that Shenmue 2, which again I have right here, Shenmue 2 costs $250. I was like, should I sell it? Nope. I'd rather hold on to the game. Money has no value for me. So, okay. So let's go straight to the point. Check out these load times to go in and out from different areas. Boom. Yamanose, and out you are. Compared to the Dreamcast, which actually had a few seconds of loud load times, that's actually pretty impressive. Now, I'm not going to waste no time here. I just love to hold the run button and just go. Because I know what I wanted to do next. And there's so much you could explore. After you've explored the Hazuki residence, and then you see everything that's available, you could be lost for hours. And then for the fact that now you've got a whole open area to play in, that itself was amazing.
You promise not to tell my mommy?
Sure.
Okay, then I'll show you.
I can tell you that
Is this your kitten?
this kitten's cute, but it irritated the hell out of me in this game. Because every time you would walk by this area, that kitten would like meow, 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 and I'm like, no, I got stuff to do. I've got to find my father's killer. What are you doing to me? It was just not fun. But
A black car.
it's true. The old Dreamcast versions were so loud, especially trying to load each section. But I just didn't mind. I had my TV as loud as hell when I was playing it, and I just wanted to just play it as loud as possible and just go with it, because especially back in the day when Dreamcast was announced and Dreamcast was playing these type of games, which weren't common. Metal Gear Solid had already come out at this point, so Metal Gear Solid had pretty cinematic sequences. But Shenmue did it to the next level, because Shenmue, and this is before Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, so you had facial reactions, you had extremely detailed faces, you had eye movements. Like, you can see Ryo's reactions to conversations, to emotions, and that in itself pulled you in even more when it came to this game. You were involved. You actually felt these moments that were directed by Yu Suzuki in these games. Now, voice acting kind of pulled you out a little bit, and the compression that they had back in the Dreamcast days was pretty intense, because the Dreamcast discs, first of all, the original game was a 3-disc game. So with all the events that took place in the game, you had to really compress the audio data to be able to fit all of that. Now, creative forms of compression such as MP3 were really new. So for the Dreamcast to pull it off, they had to do their own type of compression, which led to the audio recordings being a bit unnatural sounding, is how I'd put it. But the talented voiceovers didn't exactly help the situation, but that in itself led to Shenmue's charm, and its long-lasting impression that it left on the fans.
Bye-bye.
You know what? That's an interesting point you bring up, Alan. I was hoping that they would actually retain the original audio recordings and enhance the audio for... where am I going? I'm going the wrong way. Enhance the audio recordings so that you can actually really hear some high-quality voiceovers when it comes to this. Now, you're not going to improve the original way that they recorded the audio, but at the very least, enhance the audio recordings themselves and get them to sound enhanced. Now, let me talk to just a random citizen.
Kondo-san, the day of the incident, did you see any men in black suits?
The day of the incident? You mean the day it thundered, right? I didn't see them.
I see. Did anything unusual happen around here that day?
Not that I'm aware of. But you know, Sumiya-san knows about everything that goes on around here. It'd be good if you tried asking Sumiya-san.
I see.
It's funny. It's like, okay, you could try asking Sumiya-san. And it's like, who the hell is Sumiya-san? I don't know anybody around here.
Excuse me.
Yes?
What's this nameplate say?
It says Tajima.
Excuse me.
Does it? I'm trying to find the Yamamoto's house, but see, my eyesight is bad, so...
Don't worry. I'll look for it. Wait for me in that park up ahead.
You're so kind. Thank you so much.
Now this portion was put here so that you can learn the map. And it's like, okay, you gotta find the Yamamoto's house. How are you gonna find the Yamamoto's house? Well, why not look at the map and find where the Yamamoto's house could possibly be? And that was the whole point of that. It's just, it's the game's creative way of teaching you, like, hey, you know, learn where different places are where you can go. So I remember the Yamamoto's house was actually near the park entrance. So no, maybe I don't remember. So now, where is the Yamamoto? Can you guys help me find the Yamamoto's house? Okay, I am here. It's right in front of me. Okay, so where's the sign? Yamamoto's house over here. No, this is not going to be it. No, Mitsui. I thought it was around here. But that's not the Yamamoto's house. This is... Didn't I just check this sign? Namora. Where's the Yamamoto house sign? Where is the Yamamoto? Am I not gonna find it? Oh well. It's okay. I am going to continue on. Oh, what's this? Yamamoto. Here it is.
Guess I'll go get that lady.
Now let me go find that lady. No, I think she went to the park. And here are a couple of friends. But again, the point of that was...
Yuji. Yo.
The point of that was basically to digest the fact that you've got...
sunglasses too. On the day when it snowed.
You've got to look at maps to be able to tell where you are.
I see.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, and then nobody can help you. What's interesting too is that you learn that you have to ask several times people for pretty much help on what happened to your father before they'll... At first they'll be like, oh, I didn't see anything that day. And then, can you please help me? Anything would help. Oh, no, I can't remember.
I have to go now.
Anything at all would help. Oh, I remember that the black car passed by and it was scary. It's like, you couldn't tell me that before. I had to ask you 100 times. Okay, I got a couple of trophies. Now, an interesting thing about this game, too, is the fact of collectibles. Now, right here, you can actually purchase collectibles.
100 yen each, huh?
Toy capsules. Yes, I will collect those toy capsules. Not only collect these toy capsules, but also, if you like this video or want to see more Shenmue updates, because I will be doing a full review later on, hit that like button on this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I want to pick it up. And here we go. Was that a wolf too? Virtual Fighter. Virtual Fighter still has a long connection with this. Guess what? I'm going to buy more. One more. Come on. So I am playing on a PS4 because the PC version on Steam still won't let me load it. It says the game is not yet released. It will be unlocked and available to play on official release day. So I don't know what's going on. I did not want to disappoint. So I'm playing the PS4 version, which unlocked already. So, okay, we're not buying any more. Now let's go to the store and see what else we can pick up. Now, I'm going to play this game for about a few minutes more before I hit it up and go to Shenmue 2. So, if you guys want me to keep on going on Shenmue, please hit that like button and let me know. Keep playing the original.
The day of that incident, did you see any men dressed in black suits?
Black suits. Did you see the men in black?
I see.
I see.
Did anything unusual happen that day?
But anything that happened that day.
With me, every day it's the same old routine.
I see.
I see.
Use your head, baby boy Rio.
Baby boy
Yes.
Rio. Anyway. Not picking up anything in this store. I'm out of here. Let's go straight to Dobuita from Sakuragaoka. Here we go. Dobuita.
I haven't talked to Yomagashi-san yet.
What the? I still gotta talk to people here? Ugh. I did not remember. Black suits. Let's see if these kids remember over here what we've got going on. Black suits everywhere. You look like you're trustworthy cleaning a motorcycle.
Yo! Got a sec? Sure. Hey, is everything okay?
My dad just died. Is everything okay? Why are you asking that?
Did you see any men wearing black suits?
Black suits? No, I sure didn't.
I see. Any
I
idea
see.
who might know about those men in black suits?
Maybe Sakuragaoka Gossip Gaggle might know something. You know how they're always yakking over near the payphone. Try asking them.
Good idea.
Oh, thank you. Let's ask the Gossip Girls if they know what the hell's going on. Hello, Gossip Girls. I just asked you.
Kondo-san, the day of the incident, did you see any men in black suits?
The day of the incident? You mean the day it thundered,
That
right?
is the guy who lets you
I didn't
borrow
see
the bike,
them.
Alan.
I see.
Much
Did
later in the
anything
game.
unusual happen around here that day?
Not that I'm aware of. But you know, Sumiya-san knows about everything that goes on around here. It'd be good if you tried asking Sumiya-san.
I see.
Where is
there anyone who would
Semu-san?
know about that day?
But you know, Sumiya-san knows about everything that goes on around here. And in the evening, she's usually chatting with her neighbors.
Is that so?
Is that so? Thanks for the help, but thanks for no help. Let's see. Can I sneak into Dobuita from here?
I really should talk to Yomagashi-san
Of
at least
course.
once.
Yamaguchi-san. Where is Yamaguchi-san? Here we go.
Yamagashi-san,
Oh, it's you, Ryo.
how is your back?
Yes, it's much better. But how did you know?
I heard from someone in the neighborhood that you almost got ran over by a car.
Well, it must have been Megumi or Sumiya-san who told you. That driver was insane.
Insane.
Could you tell me about what happened with that car?
Sure. This black car came flying around the corner over by Sakuragaoka Park and went
Sakuragaoka
towards
Park.
Dobuita.
A black car. Did you see the license plate number?
Maybe if there hadn't been any
What would the
snow.
license plate number
And
help?
to make matters
I don't get
worse,
that.
I fell over. So I never had the chance.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear you're okay.
Okay, so we got another clue. When you get a clue, you get to read it right here. Went to Dobuita. And you know what that means. Time to open up the game to Dobuita. Ugh. Now the classic controls sometimes were a bit wonky. Now if you're new to this game and you don't change the initial control layout, rather than the analog stick, you actually have the D-pad that controls your character, and to run you have to hold a trigger, the right trigger for the first Shenmue. And that in itself could be a bit confusing because you're playing a third person perspective game and yet you're forced to pretty much walk like that. Now, what the heck is going on? I am trying to go down here, and I couldn't go down initially, which was strange. Okay, now I'm going to skip these guys, and I'm going to go straight to Nozomi. Now, Nozomi has a flower shop, and she's kind of a main character in this game, and so is Tom. But let's see if Tom knows everything.
Tom. Hi, Rio.
This interesting character.
I heard about your father. I'm sorry. Have one of my special dogs. It'll perk you up, I bet.
Thanks. I'll have one next time. Anyway, on that day, did anything unusual happen?
No, nothing.
I see. Well, if you remember anything, let me know.
Sure thing, I will.
Tom.
Hey,
Come
Rio,
on,
keep
Tom,
your
you know
chin
more
up,
than that.
Okay? Try my homemade pickles. They're
Homemade
guaranteed
pickle.
to make you happy.
Uh-huh. I'll drop by later.
Now, Tom, if you know anything more than what you're telling me, I'm not going to trust you ever again. Anyway, I'm going to find my other friend, Nozomi. She acts weird, but... Now, where is Nozomi's shop? There she is. I just passed her by. Hey, Nozomi. Excuse me. Ugh.
Nozomi.
Ryo, have things settled down for you any?
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do, be sure to let me know.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
tell me what the hell happened.
Did you happen to see a black car that day?
A black car?
Yeah, it wasn't the kind of car usually seen around here.
You know, a car like that splashed mud on me when it sped past.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see who was in the car?
No, I didn't. It was too fast. But I heard a rumor.
What's the
that
rumor?
Tom had an argument with the people in the car.
Wait,
And
what?
Tom at the hot dog truck.
Yeah.
Tom did not tell
Why are
me
you asking about
that he got in
car?
an argument.
No reason. See you later.
Oh, that liar.
Cheer up, will ya?
Yeah.
I
See
am
you.
going to confront Tom and be like, what the hell, man? You, like, had a whole argument with them and you couldn't tell me? I'm betrayed. Tom, what's up with that? Now let's see. Let's have Rio call him out.
Hey, Rio!
Tell me about those men in the black car.
What?
Nozomi told me you had words with the
Oh,
guys driving the
call
black
him
car.
out.
No, I don't remember.
They might have been the ones who murdered my father.
Your father?
And
Please try to think.
Nozomi is
Right
not
on,
his
I'll
girlfriend.
try.
Nozomi is
Those guys in the
friendship
black car,
zoned
what
by
were they
Rio.
like?
I saw a guy wearing this weird coat.
Oh,
What
now
kind
you
of
can
coat?
tell me something.
It was a deep green. Maybe velvet or silk. Like something Chinese.
Something
That's
Chinese.
Landy. What happened?
They almost hit one of my customers, so I gave them a piece of my mind.
Now you remember that.
But
Interesting.
that man,
Interesting,
he
Tom,
gave
how
me
the
this
truth comes
glare.
out when you're called out.
I ain't never seen such a cold stare, man.
Do you remember anything else?
Nope. Try asking Chinese people about Chinese.
Do you know any Chinese?
Sorry, man. But see that travel agency over there? They get some Chinese customers. I'll ask around for you too, man. Come by later.
Sure.
Sure. Try asking Chinese people about Chinese, because none of us know anything about Chinese but them. Pretty interesting. Now, another interesting feature about this is, like, look at this settings menu. It's completely redone and changed from the way it used to be on Dreamcast. which have you story items, collection, your moves. You could kind of just scroll through your moves, where on the Dreamcast you had to go into a sub menu before you can get this far. And you, oh, this is so awesome. This is so awesome. You can save right here. I'm gonna save right here, and it's pulling up my save, saving right on the spot. Oh my gosh, when I tell you that it was annoying as hell to save this game, because you had to, in the original Dreamcast version, you had to run home, hit the, go to bed, or go to your bed and then save. You could not save anywhere else in the game, so you had to just run back, save, and then run to what you were doing or where you were at. It caused you to not save as often, and it caused you to have to backtrack and redo a lot of events. Absolutely annoying. But it was what it was at the time, so.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm looking for someone who knows about Chinese people. Do you know anyone?
Why don't you try the Chinese restaurant near the drugstore?
You mean the Ajiji?
Yes? I'm sure their employees are all Chinese.
Thank you very much.
The Ajiji restaurant. All their employees are Chinese, because, you know, Chinese. Let's entertain this for a little while, but boom, instant load times. Come on, come on. I like that. Another interesting thing that I wanted to notice in this game is that you have a lot of pop-in in the original Dreamcast version. And this version, you don't see the streets littered, but you still have somewhat of a pop-in that comes in and out. That they're not on all the time. Okay, this is the end of the street. So, running down the street, you'll notice the citizens are not all on there as much. They just kind of pop in and out, like you saw that motorcycle come in. And what it would have been interesting is that at least they could have done away with that pop-in and actually populated the streets a little bit more. So that's something to pay attention to. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. And let's see if I can find the Ajiji restaurant. Maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. Hang on, this is usually where the bars are at. But I'm looking for a Chinese restaurant. Is this it? Is it open? It's probably not open. Nope.
It's closed.
And that's a mechanic that I love to experiment with and check out. But in the original Xbox version, if you can save anywhere, that is true, but also on the Dreamcast version, you could also save anywhere, because Shenmue 2 allowed you to do that. The original Shenmue did not come out for anything but the Dreamcast. So the Dreamcast Shenmue 1 did not let you do that, and that was an issue. It only came out for the Dreamcast, and the Dreamcast version of Shenmue 1 only let you do that. Now I'm going to stop looking for sailors for a second. I actually want to try the emulation arena and see what this is like. Now, these emulators worked amazing, or actually these arcade machines worked amazing on the original Dreamcast. And let's see if they added any differences when you're playing Space Harrier Outrun on basically a modern console. We'll do one round. Here we go. To be good, this good takes ages. Classic Sega line. Ages is backwards for Sega. So let's hit start and let's go. Oh man, the way the difference in this is that there is a difference. Playing this, it recenters you because it wants you to use the analog sticks. When you let the controller go, it actually recenters you to the middle, and that's a little bit throws me off a little bit. This game was of course directed by Yu Suzuki as well, and it came out in the 80s along with Hang On, which was also a Yu Suzuki directed game. Of course, Yu Suzuki directed Shenmue, and that's why they're in here. But the interesting thing about Yu Suzuki's style from back then is that Yu Suzuki, if you notice, back in the 80s, 3D gaming wasn't a thing, but Yu Suzuki was obsessed with kind of making you feel immersed like you're in the video game at the time. And I won't last too much longer. I'm not great at this game, but basically because he wanted to make you feel immersed, he wanted everything to come at you. And this game definitely felt like it was coming at you. It's a little harder to control here because I want to use the pad, but everything you do, the D-pad, look, notice how I'm getting recentered. That was not like in the original version. The arcade version actually would recenter you, but the Dreamcast Shenmue version wouldn't. It would just kind of stay where you were at the whole time. So that is one difference that I find in the arcade version of this game. Still fun. This was actually, Space Harrier was one of those games that I always wanted. I owned the Sega Master System back when I was a kid, and this game came out for the Sega Master System, but I never got a chance to own it for the Sega Master System, but it was always fun. And I will still put in my name because I'm one of those guys that has to put in my call sign in arcade games. So if you found EMY, that was me. So if you're from Jersey and you ever played any arcade game and saw EMY, that's because that was me playing. So now let's see the controls. Now over here you have QTE Title and QTE Excite QTE 2. Now these are games that are not emulators, but they actually help you practice QTE battles.
Game,
I'm used to playing this with
Show me what you got.
I'm used to playing this with Dreamcast controls, so this will be the first time I'm playing this with anything but a Dreamcast controller. Here we go. Let's try it. 10,000 yen. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Oh man, this looks different. So this was the basically the revolution of QTE was you could pretty much attribute that to Shenmue. But to me, QTE really started with like games like Dragon's Lair, which were Laserdisc games that were fully animated, where you had to hit not button prompts, but actually get the timing of your button hits right to get the animation and keep going forward. But QTE and the way that it's managed with like cinematics and how they work was totally thanks to Shenmue. Shenmue revolutionized and made it look interesting, in my opinion. Here we go. Now, and it's actually nerve-wracking because it's a good gameplay feature. In my opinion, at least the way Shenmue did it. They said, you know, let's make cinematics a little bit more interactive. And then these games help you practice it. And it doesn't feel like I'm playing a cinematic. It actually feels like I'm responding to the button prompts. Let's see if I can get a high score here. Ah, dang. I messed up there. Alright, one more try, and then from here, I'm not going to harass Chinese people. I'm going to, did I just say that? I'm going to go straight into Shenmue 2, because I want to try that out. And unfortunately, the Steam game was not working out for me. So, I'm going to play it on PlayStation 2. Before I give my final review. Now, one thing that I do like about Shenmue 2 versus the first Shenmue is that this first Shenmue started off very slow. But Shenmue 2 picked up the pace so quickly and was so good. And as long as you were invested in the story, it just brought you in from there. So I'm going to save right from here, which again, holy cow. So glad that they did this. And I'm going to exit this title and go right into Shenmue 2. Okay, here we go. These are... Where's Shenmue 2? There it is. Yes, okay. Time to go into Shenmue 2. Because I wasn't going to do just Shenmue 1. I wanted to see how both look, how they both interact, and if both had improvements, similar improvements. So Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2, we'll do a little bit of that, and then I'll get into my final review. So, and Shenmue 2 I prefer a ton better than the first Shenmue. It gets you right in the action from the get-go. And I don't know why they're separate files. That's how the downloads came. You could only play one at a time, but the separate files themselves were, I guess, to just have a completely separated interface. I'm sure that in the future they're probably planning to sell each of them separately. I don't know that for certain, but I wouldn't doubt that. So this is interesting. You have a few more options here. In the original Shenmue 2, when you got him on the Dreamcast, you had to put in each disc. You had the first 3 discs for storyline. On the 4th disc, it was storyline, but then it came with additional features such as actually what's here, like Shenmue Collection. And I actually have nothing to load there. But once you load the collection, you could repeat fights in the game. You can repeat several events that you had in the game. But obviously I haven't played this game at all yet. Shots viewer, because you can take pictures in Shenmue 2, which was adopted in the Dreamcast version. And let's check out options. Options, swap look and run, invert L access, just like what we had before. Audio, I will keep this one as Japanese just so that you can see it. Text language will be English. Game mode. And now graphics, high res rendering. I'm gonna turn blooming off. And UI display area, okay. Yes, save that. Now I'm going to start. I wanted to hear the Japanese voices. I'm used to the Japanese voices at Shenmue 2 because I played the Dreamcast version way more than I actually played the Xbox version, which I think I only played the Xbox version like once. And this is kind of disappointing. You see how the view is 16:9 but shrunk down because they wanted to keep that 4:3 aspect ratio, and what it does really is use less screen when they had the potential to use the full screen for these shots, because quite honestly these shots were designed with widescreen in mind. So that's fine, we were used to 4:3, but these had the potential to take up your full screen. One of my last videos that I published, actually my last video that I published on Shenmue 2, I took some emulated shots of the 16:9 aspect ratio and stretched it so that you can see the proper aspect ratio fill up the screen for Shenmue 2, which it worked perfectly. But in this case they just kept it in 4:3 and black bars all around. But I love this opening intro sequence. Now I'm not going to give you any spoilers as to why Rio's on a ship and is in a different area if you haven't played it already, but let's just say that this game takes place right after the effects and the events of Shenmue 1. And it still continues on with the Shenmue tradition, but the world is a strange world he's in Hong Kong. Actually, that's where he lands, in the Hong Kong harbor. But he's completely unfamiliar with the territory. Now, I know it passed by quick, but it seemed that he had a few more polygons on his shoes than he originally had in the Dreamcast version. So when in the original conversion from Dreamcast to Xbox, they did add a few bit more high-res textures and a few more polygons for the original Xbox version. And I think they kept that going for this version, not adding anything to it, but going from here. Another thing that always bothered me, see how you see Li Xiao Tao? Well, in the original Shenmue, the names, at least the Chinese character names that they were mentioned were reversed. So in the original Shenmue, it was Tao Li Shou, and now in this game it's Li Xiao Tao, which is like, why did you do that? You ruined the consistency of it, but it's still cool. So again, widescreen cinematics, but they kept it at 4:3. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a bit disappointed in it, and I didn't see it. I mean, I obviously had it in 16:9 mode, so it's weird that it's actually still 4:3, and it crops all around. It's really bothering me. I don't know why. And the other thing is that I noticed with the Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 cinematics is that they still seem 480p lower res than the actual gameplay itself when you're playing the game regularly. It's almost like it drops. So, which is fine. It doesn't bother too much because it still feels pretty authentic. And here we go, everybody harassing Ryo.
Hey, handsome boy, 写真撮ってあげるよ.
Yeah. Now these two characters are interesting. In the ship, when Ryo was coming into the into the Hong Kong harbor, he was attacked by one of the guys that you fought at the end of Shenmue 1. And that guy actually kidnapped that little girl. And that was in a little comic that was, I think, embedded in the Xbox version of the Shenmue 2 manual, or Shenmue 2 game. So if you're just playing this game outright, you don't know that you already know these two characters, but you actually do. A couple of the differences that happened in this version is, if you're playing this, at least for the first time, you'll notice that you actually have a map, like right here. I can purchase a map, and this map will actually give me like a Grand Theft Auto style of the whole area that we're traveling to. So far, gameplay looks pretty much similar. Now I'm going to do an arm wrestling match right here, and then I'm actually going to call it a day. I think you guys get the point of Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2, and how they look. Then I'm going to give you my honest opinions on how it operates. So, here's Jimenez Garcia. Now this version of Shenmue had a lot. Shenmue 2 had the best minigames, including Lucky Hit, including different card games or dice games, arm wrestling, street fighting. I mean, you had it all in this game. Shenmue 2 to me is the epitome of what an open world action adventure RPG should be. Shenmue 2 by far is my favorite Shenmue against like if I'm comparing Shenmue 1, Shenmue 2. It just carries the story, it has the gameplay. You don't get as attached to some of the characters because it doesn't allow for much of that. So there's familiarity in the first Shenmue with each of the characters. But in Shenmue 2, you really get immersed in the world that it has, and that's what I enjoy about it. So let's play this arm wrestling game. Mexican villain wrestler. I love the Japanese voice acting in this. It's just awesome. Here we go. Will I time it right? And press that button and easy. Want to arm wrestle without your shirt, huh? And that happens a lot in Shenmue 2. You get situations where you can basically either get more information by playing these gambling games or just kind of wager your money in different games so you don't have to work. In the first Shenmue, you had to work at the docks all the time just to get any money. But in this, you don't have to work. You can, but you could also play certain games that'll earn you more money, or do street fights, participate in street fights, which is another way of earning money. Or you could actually forfeit your collectibles. Now let's see if they actually started me off with default collectibles. Now check out all the default collectibles that they start you off with. It's Virtual Fighter characters, Virtual Fighter Kids characters, but there's a lot that's missing. And then a couple of stones, Echo the Dolphin. You know, this is pretty awesome. You have a couple of birds, and obviously you can collect more. All of these items are available to collect in Shenmue 1, and then you can transfer that save file into Shenmue 2, which is an awesome feature because it feels like one long story. So it's pretty cool. Now I'm gonna do this one last cutscene where you're gonna actually see Joy, which is a great character. She actually sticks with you for most of the adventure. But look at the direction of the cinematics, the camera angles, the way that the camera moves, interacting with these characters. It really showed attention to detail and a type of look that made you say, hey, this is high quality production value back into time. Now, would new gamers find this interesting? I think they would, because this type of direction is much appreciated and actually hard to come by with a lot of games, unless it's a AAA game. And this game was so expensive when it was first produced that you wouldn't expect anything less. But for a game to be this old and to have this type of attention to detail, despite some of the textures being a little bit glossed over. So without further ado, let's get into the final review. It's actually getting pretty late for me. It's almost 1 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to get to... Let's see. I'm going to get to the review portion. Now the review portion, the way that I do reviews for these type of games, awesome. So first things first, is the difficulty appropriate for Shenmue? I think it's a little easier than it should be, or than it needs to be, but it's appropriate, especially if you want to get casual fans to jump in. Yes. So for out of 5, I think I would give it 4. It could be a little bit harder to give a real challenge to new gamers, but 4 out of 5 points. Now, do I find it fun today? And I would say that's a 4. Because although it's fun, and Shenmue 2 I could play 30,000 times over. The first Shenmue, and I just played through most of the beginning of that game, it's a little rough to get through the first couple of hours because you're just asking questions. You're not getting into fights. You're not getting into any intricate battle system or anything like that. You're just kind of learning the ropes and doing investigating. So that I would honestly give a 3 out of 5. Now, are the graphics impressive for the time? So at the time that these games were released was 1999 in Japan, December 1999, 2000 in North America, then 2001 for Shenmue 2, and then the Xbox version came out in 2002. And even by 2002 standards, the graphics started to look dated. But early on when they were first released, the graphics were some of the best graphics that you've ever seen. So I will give the graphics a 4 out of 5 because depending on when it was released, it is debatable. Shenmue 1, super impressive. Shenmue 2 on the Xbox, not so much. And do the graphics stand up today? I would say that when it comes to how they hold up, and when you compare to video games released at the time and bring that to today, they look kind of ugly. But the Dreamcast, and especially Shenmue, with the facial textures, with the animations, with the attention to detail and storyline, they actually do a pretty good job, though some of the textures are a bit dated. So all in all, difficulty appropriate 4. Do I find it fun today? A 3. Graphics impressive 4. And do they stand up today? 3. 8 plus 6 is 12. So a 12, if you saw, was basically play games. It's not a game that's for everybody, but it definitely is one when it comes to storyline. And if you appreciate good video game stories, I promise you, you give this series a chance, you will be attached and hooked. This game was good enough to make YouTubers cry on the spot. Now I'm going to show you something. If you guys stuck around, first of all, if you stuck around for this whole live stream, oh my gosh, thank you so much. But I'm going to show you why and what happened to all of those that played this game, who played Shenmue and pretty much fell in love with the series. The emotion that it carries on in you. I'm looking up a video right now, which I'm going to show you guys, and it's a quick reaction. Okay, here we go. Okay, now you might recognize this. I'm going to switch over to the screen right now.
Dude, this is a crazy conference.
So many gamers who've actually played it and felt the emotions of this game after playing it through. Now, if you want to feel that, get through the beginning of Shenmue 1. Engross yourself in the story. Get through Shenmue 2, and I guarantee you, you will know why Shenmue fans have stuck by this series. for over 15 years. But that's all I've got to say. Hit that like button if you enjoyed that video. I'm glad you joined me today. It's kind of late out, but it really means a lot. There are several tough things that I'm going through right now in life, but you guys joining me on this stream has really helped me pick up my mood and cheer me up. And this whole Shenmue series that we've been living together, I can't thank you enough. I needed you guys tonight to kind of join me on this, and you've stuck it out, so I honestly do appreciate it, and I hope that we continue this adventure together. I have no words. Thank you guys. I don't know how to thank you guys. You really cheered me up when I needed it. Not just for Shenmue. Shenmue did help, but life's not easy. But there's some escapes that we do have that help us cope with reality and bring to terms the fact that maybe we shouldn't overthink things, that life could be a lot simpler, and people have it worse out there. So if you helped and you joined me in this conversation, big shout out to Alan, big shout out to Johnny, big shout out to Henry, and everyone else who's commented. I appreciate it. Please subscribe. I can't thank you guys enough. And until next time, as always, you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. See you guys later.